so now let's talk about proportions. So what is a proportions? Proportions are two ratios are equal. So you have A over B is equal to C over D. So you have two fractions and they have the same value. Examples. 1 over 2 is 5 over 10. Okay, so we have different numerators, denominators, but this 1 over 2 is 0.5, 1 half, 5 over 10 is also 0.5. So if you change them to decimals, you get exactly the same number. So they're equivalent fractions in the fraction chapter. One more example. So if you have 3 over 7, so this will be everybody multiplied by 2, 6 over 14. Okay? Yeah, so that's the definition of proportions. We have two fractions are equal, or two ratios are equal. So now we are going to solve fractions. Alright, so what do you mean solve fractions? So solve proportions. So proportions has four parts, A, B, C, D. So if you know three parts and then solve for the fourth part. Okay, so let's look at example. So suppose we have 1 over 2 is x over 10. Okay, so we want to solve for x. Okay, solve for x. So in the last slide, we already know x is 5, right? 1 over 2 is half, 5 over 10 is half. So now how can we find a general rule, general idea to solve all the proportions? Step 1 is the cross multiplication. Cross product. Okay, so we multiply diagonally. 1 times 10 is 2 times x. So 10 is 2x. So now what is x? Divide by 2, divide by 2, you got 5 is x. Okay, so here step 2 is division. First, cross product, we get a new equation. So next time we'll talk about linear equation. So this is one of the easiest linear equation. Okay, so we got 10 is 2x divided by 2. Divided by what? Divided by multiplier of x. Okay, multiplier of x. Then we got x is number 5. So solve proportion means for these four parts A, B, C, D, one part is missing. You're given three numbers. Okay, given three numbers. And then we want to solve the letter. Okay, solve the letter. Another example, right? So let's say 2 over 5 is 10 over y. Okay, so now this time this denominator y is missing. Denominator on the right hand side. Same idea, step 1, cross multiply. Cross product. We got 2 times y is 5 times 10. So 2y is 50, right? Is 50. So now step 2 is divide. Divide by what? Divide by the multiplier of the letter. So this is the letter y. 2 is the multiplier of the letter. Okay, so divided by 2. So over 2 over 2 on both left and right hand side. So 2 cancelled. On the left, we got the letter y. 50 divided by 2, we got 25. Okay, so that's how to solve a proportion. Cross multiply and then divide. Okay, so now let's look at another example. So this is a word question. John bought 4 books for $68. How much do 6 books cost? Okay, so there's no proportion. You have to build a proportion, right? So before we solve a proportion, we have to build or make a proportion. Okay, so how to build a proportion? You see we have 3 numbers. 4 books, $68, and then 6 books. And then we want to know the cost. Okay, so we need to know X dollars, the cost for 60 books. So we have 3 letters, 3 numbers, and a letter. So that's the hint for proportion. Okay, hint for proportion. How to build a proportion? So this is our first method. Okay, so method 1, we use the unit price. So unit price for this particular example is the price for 1 book. Okay, so how to find the price for 1 book? Now let's just read the first sentence. John bought 4 books for $68. So what's the price for 1 book? So we make a ratio now. Okay, so price for 1 book, $68. We got 4 books. So 68 divided by 4, we got the price for 1 book, right? So this is $17 per book. If you know division, right? If you know division. So this is $17 per book. But we don't want this. We want a proportion. What's a proportion? Proportion means 2 ratios are equal. A over B is C over D, right? So we already have 1 ratio. Price, money over books. So now we need the other side, right? We need the other side. So we are building a proportion. 68 over 4 books. So that's the unit price. So we need another unit price. So then we need the second sentence. How much do 6 books cost? So I already assume the total of 6 books is X dollars. So if you use the second sentence, you can make another ratio for the unit price. So we use X dollars divided by 6 books. Okay, so we don't know the value for letter X. We don't know the answer for this question, but we still can build the proportion, make another unit price. Okay, so left hand side, this is a unit price. Right hand side is another unit price. Okay, then we build a proportion from this question. Okay, this is our proportion. So we have 2 sentences. First sentence give us the ratio on the left. Second sentence give us the ratio on the right. Okay, so that's build a proportion, and then we have to solve it. So let's. Okay, so you need unit price to build a proportion. 68 over 4. I'm going to drop the unit part, right? Is X over 8. So solve this proportion like before. Step 1, cross product. Step 2, divide, right? So we got 68 times 6 is 4 times X. Okay, so 60. So this is the cross product, step 1. Okay, so step 2, divide. Divide by what number? Divide by the multiplier of the letter, so divide by this. This is the multiplier of X, so divide by 4. So 4 cancelled on the right hand side. What's left hand side? 68 times 6 divided by 4. So we can cancel 2 here. This is 3 and 2. And 68 divided by 2, we got 34. So X is 3 times 34, 102. Okay, so the answer is A. Okay, the answer is A. So if it's a given word question, there's no proportion. We have to build a proportion and then solve it. Okay, how to build a proportion? You need to find 3 numbers for the proportion. Okay, so again, that's our first method, unit price method. Let's look at a similar example. So now is the example about stamps. Mark bought 7 vintage stamps for $98. How much do 10 stamps cost? Okay, so we want unit price for the stamp now. So first sentence, how to find the unit price? How much for one stamp? 98 divided by 7. Okay, yeah, we don't want to divide. Divide is very hard. Okay, divide is very hard. So now we use the second sentence to make another unit price for the stamp. So how much do 10 stamp cost? So again, we use a letter. So let's assume you need Y dollars to buy 10 stamps. So now what's the unit price for the second sentence? So it's Y dollar divided by 10 stamps. Okay, so you see we use these 3 numbers, 7, 98, and 10 to build a proportion by using unit price. Okay, unit price. Price for one book, price for one stamp, one car, whatever. So solve the proportion. Okay, solve the proportion. So we need cross product first, right? Step 1, cross product. So 98 times 10 is 7 times y. Okay, the other doesn't matter. You can put 7 times y on the left or 98 times 10 on the left. Okay, yeah, so step 2, divide by the multiplier of the letter. So divide. Divide by which one is the multiplier of the letter? So this is 7. Divide by 7. So y cancelled, 7 cancelled. We have y on the right hand side. So now 98 times 10 divided by 7. You don't have to get 98 times 10 is 980 divided by 7. It's too hard. Pre-canceling, right? Pre-canceling. So 98 divided by 7. You got 1, 4. It's 14. And then 14 times 10 is 140. Okay, so the answer is 140. So this is the proportion method to find the price, the total price. And you don't have to use proportion. Proportion is just a method, right? Yeah. So if you are good at division, you can use unit price to find the answer. So unit price for stamp, instead of making a proportion, you just get, okay, this is $14 per stamp. Okay, you didn't make a proportion, you find the price, the unit price, and you want 10 stamps, so $14 times 10 is 140. Okay, is 140. So this is solution 2. Okay, solution 2. You find the unit price $14 and then multiply the amount, right? 10 stamps, 10 is 140. 20 stamps, it will be 280. Okay, 280. So this is the unit price method to build a proportion and then solve it. Okay, so now let's look at another special case. Okay, so this is our case 2, method 2. So we call this is, of, and percent method or percent question. Okay, so in the given question, in the given sentence, you can find is, you can find this word of, you can find a percentage. Okay, you can find percentage. You see here in this problem 3, this is, right? And then you have this of. You can find is and of, and then between them is a percentage, 48%. Okay, yeah, so this is the second part is of percent question. So now again, we need to build a proportion and then solve the proportion. So what's the formula for proportion? Is over of is the left hand side. The other side is P over 100. Okay, so here P over 100 is percent. Okay, yeah. So percent means over 100. Okay, over 100. So first let's look at the percent here, 48%. So right hand side is easy, is 48 over 100. Okay, yeah. So given percent is this right hand side, 48 over 100. So now is and of, you can use is and of to find the other side. Okay, the other side. So after you found 48 over 100, you can delete 48% in the question. Then you see you have a is part before the 48% and you have an of part after the 48%. Okay, so is what number? Is $231. Of what? Okay, so of what? We use a letter X here. Okay, so after you look at the percent, we have is part and of part in the question. So is part is in the numerator, of part is in the denominator. That's how to make the left hand side of the equation, of the proportion. Okay, so this is our proportion. 231 over x is equal to 48 over 100. So now how to solve it? Cross product, right? So we got 231 times 100 is 48 times x. And then divide by the multiplier. The multiplier is 48, so divided by 48, divided by 48. We got x is this big fraction. Okay, the big fraction. So here they show you the answer is 481.25. Okay, 0.25. So if you cannot get that, you can just use a fraction as the answer. So it's 231 times 100. So you get 2 zeros here, divided by 48. Okay, so when you work online, you can just type this fraction in the answer box. Okay, in the answer box. So how to type a fraction? A over B. You need to type A over B this way. Okay, yeah. So this is the first example of is of percent question. So now let's look at 3 more. Okay, so now let's look at these 3 questions. They are all is of percent question. Okay, so that's our master 2 for building a proportion. Is of and percent. Okay, so we can find is here, of, and in the middle is a percent. In these 3 examples, right? Is of percent, is of, and the percent. Okay, so there are similar questions, same type. We use same way to build a proportion. Okay, so now let's write down the formula again, and then we build 3 proportions for these 3 questions. So formula is over of is P over 100. So again, the easier part is this, right? P percent, this notation, percent notation means over 100. So P over 100. So now let's look at problem 6. Okay, problem 6. Problem 6 was the percent here. 45%. Okay, so we got 45 over 100. Because this is 45%. Okay, 45%. So before the 45% is the is part. After that is the of part. So is $171 of what? So we use letter X. Okay, so is $171 and then of X. Of what? Okay, of what? Then we build a proportion for problem 6. Okay, problem 6. So now let's look at problem 7, right? Problem 7. So again, 12%, so we got 12 over 100 on the right hand side. So this time is what volume? So is part is unknown. Okay, so we have is X of 83. So of 83, 83 is in the denominator. Okay, in the denominator. The last one, P10. Question 10, we don't know the percent. We want to solve the percent. Find the percent. So we have to keep letter P and then put P over 100 on the right hand side because we don't know the percentage. It's not given. That's what we want to know. Okay, that's what we want to know. So now before the percent, there is a is part. After the percent, there's of part. So is on the numerator, we got 19. Is 19. Of 50, so 50 is down here. Okay, 50 down here. So we build 3 proportions and then just cross multiply, divide, solve them. You got the answer. Okay, you got the answer. So this is our method 2 to build proportion. Method 1, unit price. Method 2, use this formula. Is of P over 100. Okay, so the key part is this percent part. If there's a percent, you can use it to build a proportion. Okay, yeah. So we have 3 different types. You can see problem 6. Which one is missing? This denominator. Of part is missing. Right? Denominator is missing. Problem 7, numerator is missing. Is part is missing. And problem 10, we want to know the letter P. Okay, there are 4 parts in the proportion. So the denominator on the right is always 100. So we have 3 different places. We have 3 different questions, type of questions, but they are similar. Okay, they're similar. So this is the second method. So for harder questions, we have to rate the question and then use the meaning of the ratio, fractions, or the meaning of percent. Okay, so we use meaning of ratio. Ratio is a fraction A over B, right? Meaning of the ratio or meaning of a fraction, meaning of a percent to build a proportion. Okay, to build a proportion. Now let's look at this example number 8. So over 4 years, the price of a car decreased from 30K, right? So this is $30,000 to 10.5K. $10,500. What's the percent decrease in price? Okay, decrease in price. So we need to find the percent here. So you see A, B, C, D, they're percent, right? They're percent. So percent, we have P over 100 in our proportion. So it's similar to the is of P percent question, but it's hard to find what is the is part here, what's the of part here. Okay, it's a longer question, harder question. We have to know the meaning of P, right? 100 is fixed because it's a percent. Okay, 100, so this is P percent. Okay, so this is what we want. We want to solve for P, right? Solve for P. So now what this percent means? The percent is percent decrease in price. Okay, so that's P means the decreasing part. So this is the decrease part. Okay, so now we know the meaning of P is decrease. So what's the meaning of 100? 100 always means original. The original price. So you start from 100 and then go down. P percent, P part. Okay, so this is the meaning of this percent is decrease over original. So now we use the same meaning to build the other side of the proportion. So this part we also use decrease over original. So now we need to know the meaning of these two numbers, right? 30K and 10.5K. So 30K is what? Is the original price decreased from 30K. Okay, so we put 30K in the bottom. And 10.5 is not the decreased part. 10.5 is, this is the new price, this is the current price. So you cannot put 10500 on top. We need decreased part in the numerator. So what's the difference? What's the decreased part? So is the original price minus the current price. Okay, so we use meaning of percentage for this particular question to build a proportion. We want to know percent decrease, so P means decrease, 100 always means at the bottom denominator, always means original. And then we look at the dollars, the money, the price. We use the same meaning to build the left hand side of the proportion. Okay, left hand side proportion. So now you can simplify a little bit. So this is P over 100. Okay, P over 100. So cross multiply and solve it. You got P is 65. So the answer is 65%. So the price go down a lot. Okay, the price go down a lot. So this is the proportion method to solve this number 8. Again, for this kind of question, you don't have to use proportion to solve it. Right? If you read this question carefully, you can easily find the answer is D. Right? The answer is D. Why the answer has to be D? It cannot be A, B, C. You see, let's look at this question again. So the price, original price is 30K. And then the price go down to only 10K and $500. Right? So this is the current price, the new price. Okay, you see the price drop a lot. The price go down more than half. So if you notice that the price go down more than half, it has to be D. Because what's the A? A is 29% too small, 35% too small, 3% too small. The price go down a lot, so it has to be D. Okay, it has to be D. So you don't have to use proportion. Okay, so proportion is the uniform method for all these examples. But for some examples, you may have a better solution. Right? Unit price, you can find the unit price. And here, you just read it. And if you realize it's more than half, you know the answer. Okay, you know the answer. If you don't know how to find it without proportion, and then use proportion. Okay, yeah. So here is a very similar question. Right, very similar question. So the car price decreased from 30K to 13.5K. What's the percent decrease? So they're asking how much the percent go down. Okay, go down. So you see this is still less than half. Right, the current price is less than half. So this is the original price, 30K, and this is 13.5K. Half is 15K. Right, so you drop a lot, more than half. So this is the answer. Okay, this is the answer. So for word questions, the most important thing is you rate it. Okay, you rate it. If they said, okay, so the current price is not 13.5, it's 17.5, then that means drop, but it's a little bit less than half. Then you have to choose B. Okay, choose B. If they said something like 20K, that means drop a little bit, but it's not a very small amount, so you choose A. If they said, okay, it's like the current price is 29K, drop a little bit, then you choose D. Okay, yeah. So you have to read the question very carefully. Okay, very carefully. That's the best method. Let's look at a new example. Okay, new example. So Angela get a 6% cut. So this is a very small percent cut, right? So 6% means 6 over 100. So if it's $100, go down 6. Okay, you will get 94, right? 94. Her new salary is this 45.8K, $45,800. So what was her old salary? Okay, so now let's draw the relations, right? So first you have the old salary. Let's understand this question, right? So now there's a cut, 8% cut. After the cut, you got this amount, 45800. Okay, 45800. So now let's just use meaning to try to find the answer, right? Try to find the answer. So first they want to know the old salary. So it has to be bigger than 45800, right? Because there's a drop, there's a cut. Okay, there's a cut. So then we know D is wrong, and we know A is wrong, right? Because they're smaller. They're not bigger than the new salary. Okay, the new salary. So now let's look at A. Sorry, I think it's here the answer is wrong. So A, B, and C. Okay, A, B, and C. Okay, yeah. So now we need to know A 6% is how much, right? 6% is how much? So this is $6, right? C is just $6 more than this. But this is percentage, it's not a dollar, so this is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. So now we need to find A or B. Okay, A or B. So you see A is about a few hundreds bigger than. So A minus this, right? Choice A minus this is, so this is $600. And then choice B minus this. So we got about $3,000, right? $3,000 about. Okay, so you see now what 6% of this salary means. So 1% is like 500. 6% is like $3,000. So B is the right answer. Okay, B is the right answer. Not D. Okay, not D. So now you see the percentage, the numbers are complicated, are big. It's not very easy to find the right answer by just looking at the question. So now let's use proportion. Okay, let's use proportion to solve the same question. Okay, yeah, so when you use the proportion, again, we need to understand the meaning of 6%. 6% is 6 over 100. So they said it's a cut, right? So 6 is the cut part, and what 100 means, always original. Okay, always original. So 6 over 100 is cut over original. Okay, yeah. So now let's look at the other side of the proportion, right? We already have one side. The other side, so we want to know what's her old salary. Let's assume it's X, right? X. So now X is original. X dollar is the original salary, the old salary. And what's this number? 45800 is the new salary. Okay, they're not the cut part. What's the cut? Is X minus 45800. So this will be the cut part. Okay, so cut over original is 6 over 100. So this is cut, original is X. So this is, let's put cut here. Cut over original This is 6 over 100. Okay, so this is our proportion. On the left is cut over original, on the right is cut over original. So again, we use the meaning of percent to make this proportion. And then cross multiply, you can solve it. Okay, you can solve it. So cross multiply, you have to be careful. Is 100 times x minus 45800 is 6 times x. Then we can solve it. Okay, then we can solve it. Okay, so you need distribution or solve linear equation. Okay, or solve linear equation. So that's one way. So now let me show you another way to build a proportion to get an easier equation to solve it. Okay, if you make this linear equation, you have to, if you get this equation, you have to know how to solve linear equation to get the answer. Okay, so let's do it again. Let's make a ratio and then change the percent. Okay, change the percent. So for harder questions, you have to think about it, and then the calculation is not easy. Okay, it's not easy. Okay, so if you just use the meaning of 6%, you get a bad linear equation. Okay, a bad linear. How can you get an easier answer? How can you get an easier equation from proportion? Okay, so we start from old salary and new salary. Okay, so we make a ratio. So assume this is x. We make x over 45800. So we make a fraction first, and then we use the meaning to make the other side. Okay, to make the other side. So what is this? This is the original, the old salary. And this is the new salary. Okay, new salary. So on the left hand side, we have old over new. Okay, old over new. So you cannot put 6% on the right hand side because the meaning doesn't match. 6 means cut, it's not old or new, right? So what means old? Old means original. So original is 100, so this is old. So what's the new? What's the new price after the cut? If it's $100, 6% cut. So 100 go down 6, you got the new price 94. Okay, yeah. So you have to use 100 minus this number 6 to get the new price. Okay, the new price. The new price is 94. So then you make a proportion. X over 45800 is equal to 100 over 94. So now cross multiply to solve this. You got 94x is 100 times 45800. So divide is the last step. Divide by the multiplier 94. 94 canceled here. You got x is, we already know the answer is B, right? So it's 48548. Okay, so in the exam when you practice online, if you don't know what this number, you can use calculator to get the answer, or you can just type this, right? Type this and you get the answer. How to type this part in the web work? You got 100 times, so let's skip this step. 100 times that, you got a big number, 45800 times 100, so you got 2 more zeros, and then divide by 94. Divide by 94. Okay, so you type this in the box, it should work. Okay, it should work. But it's a multiple choice question, so you use calculator to find this big number and then choose B. Okay, choose B. Okay, so this is the meaning method. Okay, so now we have 3 methods, right? Let's look at another example. So we need the meaning of fractions again, like before, right? On a test, Joe answers 5 over 8 of the questions correctly. Okay, so this answer correctly. If there were 104 problems on test, how many did he get correct? Okay, did he get correct? So So we need to understand what this 5 over 8 means. Okay, 5 over 8 means if there are 8 questions, so this is the total. So Joe's answered 5 correctly, so this is the right answer part. So correctly over total is 5 over 8. So we want to know how many did he answer correctly. So we don't know that number, so we need x. X means right answers, so x on top. Same meaning, right? Same meaning. Right answers on top, on left or right. They are numerators. And then the total on the bottom, so total is 104, so 104 on the bottom. So this is our new proportion. 5 over 8 is x over 104. Okay, 104. Okay, and then cross multiply, divide, you can solve it, you can get the answer. Okay, you can get the answer. So which one is the answer? So now let's look at ABCD. So you see, if 8 questions, Joe's get 5 right. That means he get more right than wrong. Okay, so the answer is a little bit more than half. So half of 104 is 52, something near 100. So we need this number, some number a little bit bigger than 5 at the 52, the half. Okay, the half. So without calculation, we know it's C. If you don't know, just follow the multiply and divide step. So 5 times 104 is 8x divided by 8 divided by 8. You got the answer. 65 is x divided by the multiplier. Okay? Yeah. So again, when you divide, so here you have multiplication and divide. So use pre-canceling, right? Pre-canceling. So this is 52 and then 4. And then you got 26 and then 2. And then you got 13. So 13 times 5, 65. Okay, 65. So use the meaning of fractions. So this method, we use the meaning of percent. Sometimes it's also ratio or fractions. Okay, we use meaning to build proportions to solve the question. The last part of proportion are similar triangles. Okay, so here the triangles are too small. Let me draw them again, right? Draw them again. So the smaller one is, they're both right triangles. Here is 8 and 4. The bigger one is 32 and x. They want to find x. Okay, they want to find x. Okay, so what means similar triangles? Similar triangles means if you look at the shape, they are exactly the same, but one is bigger. The sides are different. One is bigger, one is smaller. Okay, so if you enlarge this, you will get the bigger one. Okay, you will get the bigger one. They are exactly the same shape, but different size. One is bigger, one is smaller. Okay, that's the definition of similar triangles. So this is a very easy question for proportions. Okay, so we know we need to build two fractions and they have the same meaning, then we have the proportion. So it's very easy to guess what's our first fraction, right? 8 over 4. Okay, yeah, so what's the meaning of 8 over 4? So 8 is the hypotenuse, the diagonal side, and then 4 is the bottom side. So hypotenuse over bottom is 8 over 4. So for the bigger triangle, what's the ratio? X over 32 or 32 over x? So we use hypotenuse on top, so 32. Bottom on the bottom, bottom on the denominator for the denominator, so it's x. Then we got this proportion, cross multiply, solve it, you got 16. So this is proportion method. Okay, proportion method. So without using proportion method, you can also get 16. Why? Because we know they are exactly the same shape, different sides. So now you can compare two hypotenuse. So how can you change 8 to 32? You just enlarge this thing 4 times. You enlarge smaller one 4 times, you get bigger one. So now you enlarge the bottom 4 times, you got x. So 4 times 4, you still get 16. Okay, so again, you don't have to use proportion if you can find other ways to get the answer. Okay, to get the answer. So let's look at another example. Let's say this is 3, 4, and 5. This is 7, x, and y. Okay, so now first let's solve for x. Okay, solve for x. So solve for x, we need to build a proportion, right? So what's the fraction you want to use for x? It's not x over y. Then you will have 2 letters, right? So you solve for x, you use x over 7. What's the meaning of x over 7? So it's the left over bottom, right? Now there's not right triangle, so no hypotenuse. So it's left side over the bottom side. So now we use the same meaning for this smaller triangle. Left over bottom, then we got a proportion, solve it, you got the answer. So now let's solve it, because the answer is bad. The answer is not always integer. So 4 times 7 is 5 times x. So we got 28 is 5x. Divided by 5, divided by 5, x is 28 over 5. So again, how to type 28 over 5 in the answer? For the answer in the web work, 28 over 5. So sometimes the answers are fractions. So now solve for y. Okay, solve for y, we use y and 7. Okay, don't use x, because we only need 1 letter in the proportion. Otherwise, you cannot solve it. Y over 7 is the right side over bottom side. You use the same meaning on the left for smaller triangle, right? So it's 3 over 5. So now cross multiply to solve it. 3 times 7 is 5 times y. So 21 is 5y divided by 5 divided by 5. We got the answer 21 over 5. Okay? Yeah, so this is similar triangles. Okay, similar triangles. The property is if you use the same meaning to build a proportion, same meaning, you will get same ratio. You make proportion for big one, big triangle, you make the same meaning, same proportion, same ratio for the smaller triangle, and they are equal, you get a proportion. Okay, so that's it. You can try the quiz 7. So try quiz 7 in the web work. Okay, in the web work.